Okay.
Hi, my name's Mark Woodward. I'm one of the senior fitters at Precision Golf. Today we're going to be fitting Ann Waite. She represents the Surrey Women's Golf, and just going to ask her a question about her background and how long she's been playing and where she plays her golf, and what her duties entail with the Surrey Women.
Okay. Well, I've been playing golf for 30 years. Took it up in my 30s. I play at Walton Heath, Tandridge and Royal Cinque Ports, and I'm also on year 2 in Surrey Women's Golf on the board. All sorts of duties. We organise events, encouraging women all over the county to play both at sort of elite level but also beginners and have fun basically. And I'm here to find out what a golf fitting's all about.
And current handicap?
10.7.
Then very good. Very
not
tidy.
Always though, Mark.
Very
not
tidy.
Always.
And in terms of your bag and the clubs you have in your bag, where would you say your strengths and weaknesses are?
I'm
just
quite
briefly.
Consistent. Probably sort of the 6 iron, 5 wood, probably the strongest clubs. Yeah.
Well, we obviously go through the whole process.
Yeah.
But just if there was anything that was like, I must get better at that. But
not too
bad across the board.
Not too bad. There are no clubs I dislike in my
All right, that's
bag.
good news. That's good news. So it should be a harder task for me.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do initially,
Yeah.
like we do in any fitting, we're going to get you warmed up, get
Right.
you moving. While you're doing that, I'm going to get some specifications. Just get a feel for where you are at the moment in your bag.
Okay.
And we're going to touch base in 5 minutes or so. When I'm done, you're warmed up, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Jolly good.
Brilliant.
Okay.
All warmed up?
Well, sort of, yes.
Yeah, okay,
hopefully.
right. Well, what I want to do, while you were warming up, I was obviously getting some feel for the specifications on your clubs. Yeah?
Yep.
Essentially, we're looking at the first half of the fitting is on the irons and wedges, and then we'll talk about the woods in a little while. But what I've initially seen from the specification, you've got the Cobra Rad Speed iron, yeah? Mm-hmm. The lofts on that particular model are very strong. So where, say, a traditional loft on a 6 iron would be 30 degrees, a bit more of an old school loft, but that's where so let's say a better player's traditional head would be about 30 degrees. We've got 23.5. So it's a very strong loft. The implication.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does strong mean?
So strong mean less loft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Less loft. So 23.5. To put that in perspective, it's the loft of my 4 iron.
Oh.
Yeah?
Okay.
But that's the nature of this game improvement set, where the lofts are stronger, and when we come to get numbers, it's about analysing where your ball flight is, and if there's areas of improvement in terms of flight, because when you carry that specification over into the other clubs, you either do 2 things. You either carry a constant gap in lofts between the clubs and end up with a very strong loft on the short irons, or you start spreading the loft more and more in order to get to a traditional loft on the wedge. Now, some manufacturers, they'll do that, they'll spread the loft and then try and hit like a 44, 45, 46 loft on the pitching wedge. But this set is more that constant loft gap, but what you end up with is a pitching wedge that's got 41 degree of loft. Well, that's my 9 iron loft. Yeah?
Right.
So you've got what might say pitching wedge on it, but it's a strong loft for that particular club. And the knock-on effect of that is your gap wedge, which is, from a lot of sets would be, say, 50 degrees. The gap wedge in this set is 47.5, which is still relatively strong. That's about a degree more lofted than my pitching wedge. So it puts in perspective that the lofts are strong here through that set. Now, when it comes to your additional wedges, you've got this Maltby 53 head.
Very old one, that one.
Yeah, very old, right? So just going through how that club's set up. Well, it measured at 54 loft, so it was 1 degree more lofted than stated. Yeah?
Okay.
And the lie was a little bit flatter. I mean, in other words, the lie angle here, you understand the lie?
No, I don't actually.
No, so lie angle is that angle between the shaft and the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we talk about flat lie angle, It's where the shaft, when you sit that head flush to the ground, I don't know if Luke can see that, but if that head was flush to the ground and it creates that lower angle, that's what's known as flat lie. And if that head was sitting flat but the shaft is more upright, or higher, sorry, that's known as upright. Yeah?
Okay.
Now, it's only a subtle change, but basically what it is, you've got what represents standard lies on the Cobras, the lie on the Maltby sand, or whatever you want to call it, like a gap wedge type loft, 53, but it's measuring 54. It's a little bit flatter, so in other words, when you sit it to the ground, it sits a little bit lower down. Yeah?
What's the implications of that?
Implications of that is a little bit of strike potentially. You're always trying to get the right lie angle for any one player, and that's the lie angle you have on your irons and wedges. But if for instance it was too flat, it would look a bit like that at impact, which means that in terms of the way the ball comes off, the more it's like that, the more the ball goes to the right. The more it sits like that, the more it goes to the left.
Okay.
Okay? It's only a subtle change, it's about a degree, it's 1.5 degrees flatter than the others. However, that's not the whole story here, because when we look at the length of that same club, it was measuring at 34 inches long, where the gap wedge in the Cobra set was 35.25. The lengths on the Cobras, as a spec, I see as 1/4 inch short, or from a men's spec, it's 1/4 inch short on the Cobras.
Yeah.
Whereas your gap, the Maltby head, is at 34, which is a significantly shorter build length. Yeah. That means you haven't got your graduation of length running through the wedges, where, for instance, we would build a set of clubs at Precision. It would be a 1/2 inch increment down through the irons until you get to the wedges, and from 9-iron to pitching wedge, and from pitching wedge to gap wedge, and from gap wedge to sand wedge, and so forth. There's a 1/4 inch difference. What you've got is actually a big drop from 35.25 to 34 between adjacent clubs. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing to also point out is where you've got that stronger set of loss with that gap wedge at 47.5, the Maltby wedge, which is your adjacent club, is carrying 54. So that's 6.5 degrees difference in loft between two adjacent wedges, with a change of length and a change of lie. And because of that club being so short, when we talk about swing weight, all the swing weights on your Cobras, they're all pretty standard, they're all very consistent.
Yeah. The
now,
swing weight meaning
swing is the balance on a scale like this, but in terms of the swing, it's the feeling of that, relatively speaking, of how heavy it feels in the head or how light it feels in the head. But it's basically a combination of the weight of the shaft and the balance point of the club. And the things that influence it are the shaft weight, the head weight, the grip weight, and the length.
Yeah.
And it all adds up to what's known as a swing weight. Yeah?
Yeah.
So when you see variances here where all the Cobras I've measured are very similar swing weight, but when I measured your Maltby rusty one, it was swinging like a feather. Now it might have had a steel shaft in it. It's the heaviest shaft you got in the bag, but in terms of balance, because that was probably the head weight was designed to be a men's length, therefore it would capture a heavier balance. But because it's actually around about 1.25 inches short for that head weight, it captures a very light swing weight as a result. Yeah?
And which is good?
Well, we don't know what your optimum balance is. Right. But the one thing you do want is consistency from club to club, don't you? Yeah. You want the balances and the lengths and the lies all to be consistent. Yeah. It's like, if someone said to me, I'll give you an example, right? Mark, you've got two choices here. You've got a set of irons here that are 2 degrees too upright for you, but they're consistently 2 degrees too upright. Or I've got a set of club that's a hodgepodge of lies, and 3 of those lies match your specification. I would say, give me the 2 degrees upright. And the only reason is, I can make them work as a decent player. I can make them work. I could go down a shaft that effectively makes it play my lie angle, and I could do that throughout. But I can't do that with the hodgepodge of loft and lies because I don't know what directions they're going to come off. If you've got an upright head, it's going to go left on me. If it's too flat for me, it's going to go right for me. And when you consider we're trying to build consistent swings, but we haven't got the feedback or the encouragement of consistency in the club. And that is part of that story of why fitting is good at this level, because it's consistency of length, balance, loft, lie, grip thickness and so forth.
So you would be able a lot more easy to say it was like 10 yards between each club or whatever.
Yeah. On paper, yeah. When it came to the other point to make is you've got that nice ladies Cleveland RTX wedge, which in length terms was it was sort of the in-between. It wasn't as short as the rusty one, but it wasn't as long as the irons, the RTX, right? So in terms of the build length, it was sort of a middle ground. In balance terms, it was a middle ground. If you look at the swing weights here, so your pitching wedge at C8.5, then C9.5 on the gap, then that big drop down on the rusty one at C0. And the lower that number is, the lighter it is, by the way. Yeah. When we come to the Cleveland, it's getting closer to the balance of the others. Yeah. It's a little bit shorter as a build length compared to the Cobras, but it's a longer build length than the rusty one. So what you've actually got, and also the final point to all this, is that when you look at the big gaps in loft, until you go and look at the difference between the Maltby rusty one and the RTX Cleveland, there's only 2 degrees of loft difference. So when you think about it, you've got a club in the bag, you've got all these big gaps in loft, and you've got 2 clubs very close in loft terms.
Well, I hardly use that one anymore. I went from that one and then I use the Cleveland.
All right, well, what does that prove? That proves that you've got a gap wedge at 47.5, and the next loft that you're using on a regular basis is 56. That's 8.5 degrees of difference. You're missing a trick, because when you're looking at dialing in your distances, gapping, and variety of shots around the green, for me, if that happens to be the most loft you do carry next time round, fine. Some people don't like loft. I've even fitted a ex-Ryder Cupper who doesn't like a lot of loft in his bag. He likes 56 as his maximum loft because he likes playing around with face angle, and actually when he used the lob wedge, it was too much. So there's an example. It's not just about, let's get loads of loft in the bag. It's more to do with where are the relative lofts, and are they a consistent change. When we come to fit the wedges, we'll also talk about the sole design and what suits you for your short game to cater for that as well. Yeah? But that's a sort of breakdown. I hope that weren't too complicated. Any questions about that you didn't understand?
No, I think I follow that. Yeah.
But what you will say, because it's been strapped together at different phases, there's a different feel, different balance, different lengths, different lies, and without that consistency of loft. Yeah, and the other thing, the underlying trend with the irons as well is that the lofts are strong. So when we get you to hit the 6 iron in a second, the first thing I'm going to be observing, I expect you to get a good ball speed off of it, but how well do you hit it in the air? How good is the flight? If the flight is good from that loft, then fine.
Why would that be strong? Is that just the normal?
Look, the bottom line is manufacturers chase numbers. When people go into the average fitting centre, they'll be given a 7 iron. They're not given a 6 iron like we do here. Well, because they've already got 4 degrees more loft, it gives the licence to the manufacturer to make the loft strong, and when they see distance cells. So when you see a 7 iron going further, I have a set, please. Yeah? That's my quick way of explaining where lofts have gone over the years. And obviously that's a little bit detrimental to manufacturers, because what they're trying to achieve is more launch off of a stronger loft. They're building centre of gravity down and getting launch up to gain ball speed and utilising a stronger loft, if that makes sense. But where they chase each other as a number, it does not necessarily at the benefit of the client.
But you really want a club that's going to be most forgiving, really, I suppose.
Well, most forgiving, but most forgiving can
Consistent.
come in different forms. Forgiveness in the head, yeah? But also, what flight do you get from that? Is it an optimum flight for you, for where your speed is? Because, like, for instance, you know, you've got a 6 iron there, you've got a 5 iron. If I measure the loft of the 5 iron, it's probably about 21 degree of loft. So, how well can you use that in getting what I see as a good height for your club speed and ball speed? And that's what we're going to do next.
Okay.
We're now going to get 6 iron numbers, okay? So we're going to fire off maybe half a dozen shots, see what the performance is, and we'll go from there.
Okay,
All right?
just have a couple of practice swings.
That's all right, no problem. It's a nice looking swing, Anne.
Thank you.
Lovely rhythm to it. And just a couple more. That last one took off a little bit higher, I thought.
A bit.
Right, okay, let's have a look at these numbers. So if you come in here nice and just in front of the screen so we can see what we're doing. There's your dispersion.
Yep.
Very tidy in direction, may I add.
Makes a change.
Yeah, nice. No, it's good direction. Well, you got to remember those dashes on that screen there, they represent 5 paces. Okay. So this is probably 6 paces the furthest left, and actually the furthest right is probably about a yard. So overall, left to right dispersion quite nice there. Yeah, front to back, a little bit more variant. Yeah, this was your best strike here. This is probably a testament to how good that club works, based on you finding the nice centre hit.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we've got your club speed of 63, generating ball speed just over 90 miles an hour. The ratio of that to that, what's known as smash factor, is 1.44. So it's a very, very respectable number.
Is it?
Yeah. However, what you remember is that the stronger the loft is, the stronger the smash will be.
Right.
Now, we already mentioned there's a strong loft on your 6 iron. What you've got as a performance, you've got 17.8 of launch and 4.1 on the spin. It's really not a terrible number, but I'll probably, as a fitter, would want to see just a hint more as a height.
Spin.
Yeah, just a hint more launch and spin, only because when you look at your differential on the screen there between carry and total, I always work on the grounds with TrackMan that the nearer I can get to 10 yards for someone like yourself, the better it is as a performance. So
what's the total? The total is the
136 as a total distance, calculated total distance.
Right.
The carry number is 99.9%
yes.
accurate because this is measuring that spin rate. That bit depends on ground conditions, doesn't it? Bounces, ground conditions, firmer is going to roll more, softer is going to roll less.
Not very far at the moment, is it? The rate.
Well, no, that's the whole point. Because in soft conditions,
you want
would
that
be
carry to be better.
Exactly that. So what you've got there as a differential is 18 yards. Yeah. And I'd like to see, in many respects, the carry number go up, but the total come down. Does that make sense? Where the peak height is a little bit better. That's your best shot. So that's the one that's flown with the most spin and the most ball speed.
And the straightest.
And one of the straightest. Yeah? So there's your strike pattern. So if you look at your strike pattern here, you can see the strike is just what is equivalent to about 8mm high from the sweet spot, a little bit high on the head for a general strike.
The sweet spot is in the middle of the...
If they've done their job properly, yeah. But yeah, generally speaking, on a head like that, it should be very, very central, yeah. Slightly toe side, yeah. But for a head of that nature, that's not enough to hurt your numbers too much. If you had a set of blades, it might be a little bit more torque, a little bit more deflection, because there's no weight distribution. The moment of inertia of that head is much lower and therefore more twisting, yeah? When we talk about forgiveness on heads, really in science terms, it's about moment of inertia. Moment of inertia is resistance to twist. But that's really it in a nutshell. When we look at these numbers across the screen here now, that's your average.
Yeah.
So now we can say, well, nothing's changed too much. The average carry is 115, and it's a rollout of 22 yards. Well, what's happened there? It's got longer, or the gap's got longer. Well, it's quite straightforward. Some of those strikes that weren't quite as good, that didn't create as much spin, roll out more. Yeah?
Yes.
So what's actually happened if you took the average spin? Is
Why
only
does the spin stop it rolling out? Because it's going backwards, isn't it?
Yeah. Spin creates lift.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And the more lift it has, the
Yeah.
higher the height. And the higher the height, the softer the landing. Yeah? So, bottom line is, that launch I'll take all day long. Got no problem with that launch as an average, 18. But the spin rate is just a little bit low for the when you're trying to carry that performance over into a 5-iron, that launch and spin is going to get lower again. Well, if it's 3.2 there, it's going to fall below 3,000 on a 5-iron, and it just means you'll end up fighting that iron a little bit. People respond to height. When they hit, like for argument's sake, a fairway wood off the deck and they see height, and it's with nice ball speed, they get excited. Their confidence levels go up.
Yep.
When they put a good swing on it and they don't see enough flight, they're like, oh, I put a good swing on that, why has that gone like that? And then they try and help it in the air, and then the technique can get unravelled. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
So all I'm saying is, as a spec of club, I just think that set of lofts, this is what actually happens. Better players, strong lofts hurt them. If you've got, let's say, a fade or cut motion where you're cutting across it and creating loft, because when your path is this way and your face is open, you're creating loft, then these sort of specs falls into their method a bit. Yeah? With you being a decent player, a little bit more discerning, or should be, right? The number that's hurting you there for general use is that spin number. Does that make sense?
It does, but how do you get that up?
By me building golf clubs.
By making it more lofted.
That's what we're going to do next.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're going to go through the process of trying different options of shaft and head. Heads, I think, are a more appropriate head for you as a player. Shaft-wise, I think you can afford just a little bit shorter in the shaft. That essentially is almost the men's length, so it's 37.25 on your 6-iron, so it's a relatively long club. I think I have to rein that in a little bit, but it's about finding one you like the feel of, but we've got to create that flight profile, just change the flight profile a little bit, yeah?
And what about the weight of the shaft? How does that...
Well,
What's
again,
that
it's
mean?
my duty to find a really nice shaft for you that you enjoy playing, that gives you the optimum numbers. Yeah.
Is there something about? I mean, I've heard people talk about whippy clubs and stronger shafts.
Yeah.
How do you get that? Or maybe I'm jumping there.
Yeah, that's what we call flex.
Yes.
The flex of the shaft. So flex is a slightly overplayed element. People say, oh, well, I've always used a stiff shaft, I've always used this, and they freak out if we give them something that says something different on the can. But weight of the shaft and profile of the shaft, in other words, the balance of it and where it kicks from, are more important than the actual flex. Flex has a bearing on feel, and if something's too stiff, it feels a bit dead. If something's too soft, it don't feel stable. There's always a nice middle ground.
Yeah.
So in your explanation, you know when it's right, because when you strike it well and it feels right, it is right.
It's nothing to do with the speed you take your shot.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But then there's another argument. Two players with identical club speeds, completely different shafts, because they have different tempos.
Yeah.
Give you an example. Who's a really quick tempo player in the men's pro game? Quick tempo. Well, no, talk about a lady, right? Charlie Hull.
Yes.
Very quick, very prompt.
Yes.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Compare her to an Ernie Els. Ernie Els,
Easy.
like easy.
Easy
Now,
Els,
Ernie, not necessarily he does, but if ever the two players who could use a softer shaft, who had the ability to use a softer shaft, would be Ernie, because the tempo is so much slower, whereas Charlie would always prefer a firmer feel because of the way she transitions. It's all very quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's an example, yeah? So it's not just speed, it's tempo as well.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
And that's how we're going to do now. I'm going to give us some options. I already know a head that I think is a better spec of head for you.
Okay.
As a short list for you, yeah?
Okay.
And then I'm going to strap together with the various shafts and we go from there.
Okay. Yeah.
So, what we've got here, I'm going to start, the head that I've introduced, okay, is a Titleist T200 head. It's what you'd call a forgiving performance players club, as opposed to an out-and-out game improvement. It's that middle territory.
Yeah.
It's not the forged blades, it's not the big deep cavity. You're a good enough player to use this. It's got a good level of forgiveness anyway. But I think what it does, it gives you face performance, but with a loft that's around about 3.5 degrees more lofted. Yeah?
Yeah. So what is, you said about cavities, I mean, obviously, what is the difference there? Why do some clubs have,
I mean,
or is it?
Yeah. The cavity, and it's moved on a fair bit since that as well, because there's hollow heads these days.
Okay.
And the hollow head is equivalent to perimeter weighting, but looks fancier because it looks like a blade.
Yeah.
So when you look at models like a tailor-made P790 or 770, they're hollow head constructions with faster faces, but they look like traditional blades. But they perform like game improvement clubs, if that makes sense. Yeah. So this one, that isn't a solid construction.
Right.
This is a plate across a cavity with tungsten weighting in the heel and toe internally.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay.
So don't see that as, oh, that's a solid one, I won't be able to hit that. Yes, you will be able to hit
That's
this.
what went through my mind.
Yes. So, yeah. Now, in terms of the playing length here, you're going to have to bear with me here, because a lot of what we've got some shorter shafts, but for the shafts I want you to test, some of them might come up a bit long.
Okay.
I'm going to tape this up so that you can say, right, that is where I need my club to be. Yeah?
Okay.
So just bear with me. I'm just going to get some tape. That's the no-go zone.
Okay.
Yeah? See, your club, I see your optimum length is just a hair shorter than your current irons. That's going to play it. Where I've put that tape should be at 37 or just below it. Yeah?
Yeah.
So
and that is, you said that's shorter. Just shorter.
yeah, it's probably quite close to the. It's a little bit closer to the specification on your sand iron. Also, yeah, you know your Cleveland. Yeah, that's that middle ground in length. Not as short as that rusty one. Not as long as the men's iron.
Yeah.
I think that's a more usable playing length there for you. I'm going to change the parameters, the tag on this screen, so that we can differentiate the change in performance. So it's the T200 head, and it's an Acra shaft that's known as the S5. The 5 represent its weight category. It's essentially
Okay.
a 55 gram shaft. Yeah. And we'll get some numbers. Let's see.
So I'm holding this.
Yeah, just
further down.
Just see it as the,
Like
the
that?
bottom of the tape. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Didn't take long, that.
Oh dear. Whoops.
All right, never mind.
Cut that one out of the. Let's try again. Right. Feels much smaller club. You know, thinner.
It's a smaller
thinner.
head. It's
Yeah.
a smaller head, but like I said, don't be fooled. There's a
No.
lot of internal weighting to make that head a forgiving head.
Oh no. Let's try again.
Okay.
Do another one. It's funny when you've got a different club in your hand.
Well,
you just,
yeah, there's an element of getting used to the feel of it,
Yeah.
but sometimes it just happens out the blocks quick, and it's a really good change. That was a nice
that.
swing. Okay. So what I want to emphasise the point. Obviously, I want the front to back consistency, and it didn't quite happen. They look very similar, don't they, as a carry?
Yeah.
Let's just analyse what's happened to the height and the spin, and where
Yeah.
that differential, what's happened there. Okay. So we said before, yeah, ball speed of 88.7. Obviously, a stronger loft creates more ball speed, but you've got 3-2 on the spin. Yeah. What happened here is exactly the same carry, but the differential has come down to 14
yes.
yards,
Yeah.
because what we've got is now the higher launch with a bit more spin off of a similar ball speed. It's performed just as well in ball speed terms as yours, even though it's 3.5 degrees more lofted.
Yeah.
What it's done in creating that is bringing that differential down. So it guarantees the carry, and particularly when the greens are firm, if you're playing a shot, say at Wont Heath, firm summer conditions, fiery, pacey greens, it's nice having the stopping power, isn't it?
Yeah. Royal St. Port's is.
Well, then yeah, but that's when it falls
Yeah.
down to spin. We
Yeah.
don't want high spin, yeah? We just want better spin.
Explain that a bit more to me.
Well, low spin brings the ball out of the air,
Right.
yeah?
Yes.
Too high spin is high, but then it stalls, it goes that way. There's always the optimum, yeah? When you look at the screen, if you want to just look at the screen there, can you see the difference how the height's changed?
Oh yes, the white
See
ones
the,
are.
see the orange of yours and the white?
Yeah.
You see, that's a good demonstration,
Further up
isn't
in the
it?
air.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But all I'm trying to show you is that a head that's a high performance head creates very similar ball speeds to yours, but off a base loft that gives you a better transition of loft moving towards the wedges, but also gives you more playability in, let's say, a longer iron, like a 5-iron. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's my demonstration there. To
Okay.
bring that differential down. We talk about peak heights, and so if we look at your peak height, we've got an average of 42 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. and here we've got 56. So we gained 14 feet in height off the same club number, with the same carry, but with more control.
Yeah. And sorry to go back to it, but is that because it's not so strong? Is that?
Yeah.
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 Or
But
not
I could give you a similar loft without the face performance, and you wouldn't have the ball speed with it. What this has given you is the ball speed of yours, but from a higher loft. I'm not giving you a difficult club to use.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a head that performs much in the same fashion as the Cobra Rad, but with for me, a more appropriate set of lofts that buys you performance from the longest iron, and then when it comes to the wedges and the setup of lofts, get a more even keel on loft at the other end as well.
Can you bring that picture of the club face up, because that looked different as well?
Well,
So
I've highlighted the two shots.
Oh, I see.
But what
okay.
it does prove to you...
So it seems to have come down.
Yeah, strike point is
Yeah.
better. It's a more effective. The other head was a bit higher on the head, yeah? So the strike point's a little bit more, in terms of the height of the strike, it's a little bit more central, yeah. You got your toe strike there, but that's a testament to the forgiveness of the head. You still get a similar ball speed. I mean, you hit it even further out than a toe, you're going to lose ball speed. But it's a forgiving enough head for you, in my view, yeah? That's just a start point, yeah?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what we're going to do, we're going to play around with one or two other shafts,
Okay.
yeah? We keep with this head for the moment
Okay.
as a test head. See what performance we can have,
Different
relatively speaking, with the other shafts. And then I'll think about other heads that I see as working for you.
Yep.
Yeah?
Okay.
Get it so far?
Yes. There's a lot of figures. But
It's a lot of figures, but that's the, that's the bottom line.
I'm quite a visual person,
Yeah.
so seeing that
That's the
is
bottom
a
line,
bit
isn't it?
easier for me. Yeah.
Same carry as yours,
Yeah.
but with more height.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Getting away from the 3-2 spin, you've suddenly ended up with 1200 revs more. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So
Yep.
that's why I gave you that head. You'd almost think that I knew what I was doing. So I'm just going to test the water at just the same shaft type with a little bit more weight on it. Just a hint more stable. It's not heavy, it's just very similar to the weight of Ann's current 6-iron shaft. Yeah? So it's the Accra IS6 now. Just testing to see how it feels in relation to where I started it in the 50 weight category. It's now 60. Yeah. Again, more on optimum length there is no more than 37 inches long. So I'm just going to tape it up just as a reference to you. It's going to feel just a bit firmer,
Okay.
a little bit heavier, but not heavy. It's just more the weight of what your current ones are.
Okay.
Yeah? There we are.
Okay. Oh. Going too far up it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice move, that. Does that feel a little firmer?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah? Would you say a better or worse feeling than the previous one?
I think it's better.
Yeah?
Pulled that
A
one
little
a
bit
bit.
left, a little bit left, but a good contact on that.
Yeah, I felt like I'd pulled it left.
Even with a slightly shut face, that still maintained that carry though, yeah?
Okay.
Still had more height on it than yours that was straight, which is always a testament to what that can create. So while you're firing off some more shots, I'm going to pop next door. There's 1 or 2 shafts that I can.
Okay.
That I'm going to get you tested on. That last one looked nice.
That felt a bit better.
Yeah, that did. That looked quite nice, that one.
Oh, gone all over the place.
Well,
See, operator error, you see.
well, that number there was that's your best number so far. That carry is one of the best carries so far, with that better differential because we got the launch and spin up a little bit more. Yeah. So there's promise there. I would say, yeah, if we can get that front to back dispersion a little bit better, but it wasn't poor. It was just a slightly different feeling, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
So I've got a few shafts lined up for us. We're going to run through these numbers and just see if we can touch upon a really nice feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a disbursement on that last one, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
how do you cut out the, you know, I mean, I'm not consistent swing at my level. It's...
I'd always take the approach that the one that suits you best is the one that you hit more often.
Yeah.
That's not a bad rule of thumb, is it?
No.
There you go. So
Okay.
this is
This is
purpose
different.
of the camera. Oban shaft, known as the OI series. This is the OI 53. The number gives it away. It's in that mid 50 gram territory. A little bit like the weight of the very first one, but it'll feel a bit firmer than the first one.
Okay.
Yeah?
And is this the same head?
Not going to change the head.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 changes. We know where the improvement is. 1 change at a time.
Okay.
Yeah? Not quite as much as that, Anne. That's it. That's it. That's good. Yeah.
Bit left. Whoops.
Okay, never mind.
I'll try another one.
A bit skinny, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That was a good swing.
It's a bit better.
But it's very interesting with this shaft, how it interacts with your dynamics, is that suddenly there's more launch, and on the good strike there's even more spin. There was a reasonable strike a second ago that launched at 23 degrees with nearly 5,000 spin.
All right.
And then you go, hold on, and that's now the other end of the spectrum, where it's a bit too, it's not,
Too much.
Yeah, it's almost too soft that way and not enough that way. Yeah?
Okay.
So you can see it's fallen backwards a little bit in terms of carry, hasn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
It creates plenty of height, but it's almost overcooked it. Yeah? There's a softer sort of initial launch there with not as much ball speed as before. That was a good pass. Yeah. Not bad, but for me, I don't think it's quite as good. Yeah? Okay. So next shaft we're using is from a company called VA Composites.
Yeah.
Victor, who's the owner, his initials is the VA bit. He wanted to bring out a range of shafts. He makes some very premium shafts, but this particular shaft range, he wanted to challenge the shafts that you'd see in the run-of-the-mill retail options you see in a shop. Not too much of an upcharge, exactly. So he came up with a very nice shaft range. The name is a little bit in your face. It's called Badass. All right, that's his, yeah. But he is funky in his sort of names and liveries. But it's a nice shaft for the money. In weight terms, it's again that 50 to 60 weight category. This one is just a hair firmer though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably I've just got a feeling you might enjoy the feel of this. Yeah, it feels nice and responsive. Apologies for the tape going on. But it's always that sort of ½ inch from a men's length, yeah?
Right. Okay.
Yep. So VA Composites, Badass.
All that.
Probably felt a little bit better.
Yeah.
How would you describe the feel of that?
Yeah, it feels good.
That was a nice move.
It's a bit better.
That had flight on it as well. You could tell that.
Just slow it down a bit. Keep that on it. No, not that one.
Do you remember the second shaft we hit though?
Yeah.
I know it's in terms of front and back dispersion, you have to take it with a pinch of salt as well. We're not a robot. But in terms of what it gave us in flight and ball speed, tends to suggest you hit that one best.
Yes, I think so. Just have one more.
So far. Yeah?
Yeah. Just pulling it round a bit, I think. Just pulling those ones.
Yep.
Gosh, terrible. Which colour was the second one? That was the white.
Yeah, because you commented about the front to back, but when you consider the misses were straight, and the good ones were longer carries. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it tells you that it was a shaft that you hit straight at worst, and it's a shaft that you hit straight and long at best.
Yeah.
Yeah? In that respect, I do see it as so far the best shaft. So I've got one more shaft to test, which is, now it's a part of the KBS TGI range. They've got a whole range of weights, KBS being the manufacturer, very popular in steel shafts, but they branched out into graphite about half a dozen years ago. So they come in different weights, anywhere between 50 and 90, 110 gram, I think, actually. 100, yeah. So this is obviously the lower end, but very stable at its weight.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget, we've only used one head here, and there are other heads that might work better, but I know as a shortlist is the head that I knew would give us better height with good ball speeds, yeah?
Okay.
So we will move on to that in a second, but
Okay.
we'll test this shaft first. Steady start that. That had a different
better,
noise.
wasn't it? Yeah, it sounded different.
That had a different noise.
Yeah. Oh, no.
That wasn't quite as nice.
No,
but
that was me.
But that previous shot told a story in that the ball speed was there and the flight was there. It's just a good all-round number. And that was even better.
It felt a bit better. Try one more.
This has found something else, right? Because all of a sudden, the consistency level is there.
Yeah.
But we've got ball speed with it as well. Yeah? So this is a slight miss, but it's still not a terrible miss. Yeah? That was your very first one, funny enough. But look at what's happened there in terms of the consistency of direction and carry, right? So your average ball speed is really, really healthy. We've gained that launch and spin. So when we look at the screen for the mid blue, I mean blue against blue is never a good option, but you can see the peak height, the blue up the top there.
Yeah.
So we're getting that better height. We're gaining the ball speed here. We've got a lovely bit of extra spin, yeah?
Yeah.
And that differential, it's the same carry as yours with that very strong loft, but that differential is way down. You know when I said about
when you say the differential, you mean the
nearer I can get it to 10 yards with a height. If you look at the height side of it here, average height of 56 feet, when I start getting you a land angle that's in the 40s, hits 40 and beyond, I know that I've got good performance.
What do you mean by land angle?
So the back end of the flight,
yeah.
Imagine as it hits the ground, that angle.
Oh, okay.
So if that was, say your land angle would be shallow, hence the reason why it rolls too much on landing, this is landing at 40 degrees, so the ability to stop it on a green from range. And what you've got to also bear in mind, if you're taking on a carry and you want to kick, you don't want the spin rate to be low and potentially, particularly downwind with a lower spin, it'll fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
It's like an aircraft taking off downwind. Yeah? You take off into the wind to create lift. It's like a golf ball. Yeah? So in having that extra launch and spin, it means that you can take on carries because you're going to almost guarantee a better carry on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that has done something over and above any single shaft.
Yeah.
And it probably felt quite nice as well.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
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 That's the one you struck best. But you should, I mean, that is very, very tidy, those shots there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting them
Yeah?
that consistency, correct.
And where we struck those.
Yeah.
That tells a story. Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
That is easily the most consistent shaft. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I ultimately saved the best till last. I didn't expect it to, you know, I didn't know where the best was going to come quite, but certainly that one is both directionally more consistent, in carry terms more consistent, in strike point more consistent. Yeah? And that, we'll keep that head aside, but that becomes our shaft, test shaft, in trying some other heads now.
Trying some other heads. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Those look more traditional, as in my sort of traditional.
Well, almost. One represents a little bit more of the forgiving performance player's iron in the form of that ZX5 Strixon head. Very nice head, easily launched with a lovely feel to it and should get good ball speed. Is it as forgiving as the other two? No. What I've got here now is two what you could see as more game improvement heads, both carrying more loft than yours. Yeah, this one in particular is what's known as Mizuno Hot Metal HL. What's HL stand for? Go on. You're clever enough.
High loft.
Almost. No? High launch.
High launch. Okay.
Yeah. So the clue in the name there.
High launch.
But that's a little bit more lofted. This one's similar loft to the Titleist head we just had. Apologies for the lead tape, it's only because the base weight of this demo head is a little bit light, so it just made the weight up. Can change it here, but anyway, so apologies, it looks a bit scruffy at the moment, but it's just getting the head weight to a more conventional head weight. I think we'll start with the Strixon. This is, on paper, it's not difficult to use, but it's not as stable as those two heads. They've got more perimeter weight in, yeah? But I think it's worth a try because it's a lovely feeling head and it has this natural ability to launch the ball.
Okay.
Yeah? Forged body, lovely feeling.
Okay.
Let's see how you get on.
Yep. It's got a bit of paper on there again. Oh, it's the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
shaft.
it's the same
isn't it?
shaft. No, we're sticking with that shaft because of the performance we just saw from the other head, yeah?
Yep.
That's our test shaft now. Nice start. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Felt nice.
Well, this is what's interesting, is just how consistent you are with this shaft.
Yeah.
Because there's two identical shots. I've switched ahead, but it's like almost a carry over. I don't think it's quite as fast, that head, as the Titleist head.
Okay.
But when you look at the dispersion, see how the consistency level of that with the Titleist, how we've now got another similar, very tight consistency. So what you get from the shaft, I mean, you said, well, how much is that to me? I said, well, we run with the one that you hit best, get better direction and more consistency on things like ball speed and spin rate. Yeah. You can see there already there's a consistency level. Yeah?
Yeah. Should I do another couple with this?
Yeah, most definitely. But I just thought I'd point out to you that this shaft is a really very good match for your swing. Very repetitive. Yeah?
That's what I want.
That's a lovely golf shot. Ah, wow. Wow. So the last two have had more ball speed.
Oh no,
Ignore that.
Forget that one.
I spoilt you there because
No.
I distracted
Get rid
you.
of that one. Delete.
But what you can say, you hit the 4 shots. It was a lovely starting point here, yeah? And then, hold on, it went longer and it went longer, yeah? If you look at the 2 last ball speeds, just short of 88, and the one previous to that, again, just short of 88. And what it does, it's the middle ground of not quite as high a launch, not quite as high a spin, but sufficient launch and spin, yeah?
Yeah.
Compared to yours, yeah? So the differential, these weren't bad, don't get me wrong, they're a good start point, very consistent, but I'm quite intrigued by those 2 numbers because if you, with this same shaft, you've got your healthy launch there, but that's still 700 revs more than your own, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
So your carry is now longer than anything now, but we've kept that differential tight still. It's not the 20 plus yard differential here, yeah? So what have we got as a peak height? 57 feet, land angle around the 40 mark, yeah? That's a very, very, very strong, you see the height of that one there, look, yeah?
Yeah.
That's a very strong performance. How did it feel? Because
It felt nice, that one.
it's a lovely feeling head.
Yeah.
It's that lovely,
Yes.
what I say, forgiving players club with face performance.
Yes, it did
and
feel that.
that head. Every time we test, every time I need a head, that someone says, "Oh, I want a forged head. I want to," but they haven't got the ability to fly that sort of design. This is my go-to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Very, very excellent head, Japanese head, but by the nature of how we buy them, we buy head only. So when we're piecing it together, our build, it comes into our own. We're a custom shaft, custom head built, because we're buying in unit cost rather than a whole unit and then disassembling it only to put another shaft in it. It's a little bit more cost effective, let's say. Yeah?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this shaft
Keep
is
that
no-brainer.
shaft. Yeah.
You've used it fantastic with that as well. Yeah? So we're now going to move on to the Mizuno JPX, full title, Mizuno JPX 923 High Launch.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's its full title. Bit of a departure because it's much chunkier in the sole. Yeah, a little bit more of what you've had. But bear in mind that this is a genuine change of loft. It's got the face performance, yeah, for ball speed, but it's got that loft number, that sort of that territory of 27, 28, yeah?
So it should go higher.
Let's see. Let's see. We know you can use that shaft, yeah?
Okay.
Got another contender. Oh, that's a magnificent, that is absolutely magnificent. Have a look at this. Just step into my corner.
Right.
Okay? This sort of olivey green colour
Oh yes.
is the 3 shots.
Oh.
Again, it's reinforcement of how well you use this shaft. You've been bulletproof with this shaft with all 3 heads.
Yep.
Yeah. But what we've got here, if I click on that, we've now got an efficiency level that's gone up. There's more ball speed here. Yeah?
Yes.
We've got a lowish spin number, but still 500 revs more than yours. And we've got a launch angle that's about 3 degrees higher than yours. The net result is, with that gain of ball speed, we've now gained 2.5 yards of carry, but you can work out with the maths, the differential's still reasonably tight. what we've got is a peak height. We've lost maybe 2 feet in height, but bear in mind that's still 12 feet higher than your own, yeah? So it's you almost say, it's almost a compromise in that it gives you very good ball speed. We've got more spin on it, we've got more launch on it. It's not going maybe as high as the Srixon or the Titleist head, but it is very, very good on ball speed, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's still better performance in my eyes than the Rad Speeds.
And consistency.
And it's ridiculously consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very forgiving head as well. That head is a very, very, very forgiving head.
That's the Mizuno, was it?
Yeah, it's a little bit chunkier, but there's a testament there. You see,
Slight.
your ball speeds are up and it's a consistent strike, but you notice it's a little bit more toe side.
Yeah.
It hasn't hurt you, has it?
No.
It hasn't hurt you. So is that sort of a sole design that appeals to you, or do you,
Yeah, I quite like that.
Because it's obviously the widest sole I've given you. If you looked at yours, it's a little bit more in the lines of yours. But bear in mind, there's 4.5 degrees more loft on that club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But with a carry that's actually 2.5 yards further.
yeah.
So that's like a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it felt very comfortable.
Yeah. Nice feeling head again.
Yeah.
Mizuno heads are always on the softer feeling and sweeter sound.
Mizuno's ages a long time ago when I first started.
Yeah. What they did, they went through a period of a good number of years of always saying, well, we make forged clubs. There's other heads that are faster and whatever. And they got probably kicked one too many times and decided, right, let's start making more techie heads.
Right.
To take part of them, you know, to get their part of the pie.
Yeah.
And start making performance heads for the average player, and that's hence the JPX series. That happened to be the higher lofted one, the HL. Yeah. But it worked, didn't it? Bottom line, it worked lovely. Got here, apologies for the lead tape on there. The demo head's a little bit light, but this is a Ping G430 head.
Yeah.
I don't think it will sound quite as sweet as a Srixon and the Mizuno, but it's a very, very stable head and very easy to launch.
Does the noise make a difference?
You tell me. This is where it's a bit more subjective, isn't it? So
just what you feel comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
All right.
I want to go.
So Ping G430 head here. Let's just say that's done something a little bit different in ball speed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right.
That's 2 degrees more launch than yours, with 600 revs more than yours, with a carry of 123 and a total of 140 and a height of 55. Yeah. So it's like the flight pattern of the Mizuno, but that's a 91.5 ball speed. That's 3 miles an hour quicker than anything else. Yeah?
Yeah. No, that was not good. No.
See, it's all well and good saying one shot going further, but the consistency level with that Mizuno head.
Yeah, let me just try one more, see if I can.
Because if you took averages, you took sheer averages and you took the consistency from front to back, it's a no-brainer.
No. The first one worked, but
but
goes all over the place.
this is the whole point. But that's where, if I had to say what I prefer in giving more performance, flight performance, and ball speed performance over yours, I would say that Mizuno head. because there were other heads that you launched even higher and higher spin, but what you've got to do in context of what you've got, there was probably about 600 revs more, 500, 600 revs more with a 3 degree higher launch and that gain of ball speed. And that combination takes us over the line. Yeah? It is the wider sole, it is a little bit more game improvement, but it really has worked a trick. And it doesn't sound like some of those game improvement heads that are all a bit clunky and that. It's got a lovely note to the strike. It's the obvious thing when you hear that head hit. It ticks a lot of boxes because people enjoy the performance, but they enjoy the feel of it.
Yeah.
That's
the Mizuno head.
That's that head there.
Yeah. I'll just try it
Yeah,
again?
sure.
Yeah. Grab some water.
There we are.
Okay, let's try that one again.
Yeah. It just is magnificent.
Sounds a lot better.
Again, look, 119 carry, ball speed of 89, a height of 55. It just seems to do the same thing. If you look, I've changed that tag at the top so that we're adding on to it. There's the 3 earlier that we raved about,
one,
and there's the next one.
Yep.
It is a magnificent performance. In fact, I go as far as to say you're almost metronomic with it, because there's another one in there. Look, that's 5 out of 5. A little bit further right, but still a decent ball speed. Yeah.
Yeah, that one went a bit.
Well, it did, but see it in the context of, well, hold on, that's similar to our best numbers earlier.
Yeah.
The 5 out of 5. Yeah. That's only a little bit weaker because your face on that particular swing was a little bit too open to the path. You know, you're essentially mathematically 3 degrees too open, so it gave you a softer number in ball speed and launch. If you'd have squared that up, it'd have been back in the pile again. But the bottom line is, look at that. Straight, long, consistent. What a brilliant set of numbers. So yeah, 600 revs more, 700 revs more than yours, with 3 degrees more launch, a carry that's gained 2.5 yards over yours, but instead of that huge differential.
I think, yeah, being in the right vicinity is important, I think, for me.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
for
like,
everyone.
Those were your earlier shots. Puts it in perspective. There's the 18 and the 3-2.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's the 115 carry. But look, 22 yards difference. The land angle 31.7. The height 42 feet. Whereas this ball speed of 88.4, carry of 117.5, 133.
Talk me through that ball speed again. I mean, obviously the higher the better.
Yeah, within reason.
Right.
I can make loft stronger and get you more ball speed, but at the detriment of creating the right flight. Yeah? I've given you exactly the same ball speed off of something that's 4.5 degrees strong, weaker. What I say, but don't like the term weak because it makes it sound inferior, but more lofted. Yeah? It's 4.5 degrees more lofted, and yet it's got the same ball speed as what you created, and therefore it's a win-win. We've derived a very good, healthy ball speed, but we've gained 14 feet in height, and the land angle has gone from 31.7 to 38. Yeah?
Yep.
As an average. That's lovely changes.
Yeah.
That's changes that win. But throughout the whole process, don't ignore how good that's been.
Yeah.
Because from the moment I gave you this, it didn't matter what head I put on it, it kept on giving you a result.
Well.
Yeah?
Yes. Talk me through that again. That's a...
So it's KBS. KBS, quite a well-recognised shaft manufacturer in the steel market, branched out in graphite irons and graphite woods about 6 years ago. So the TGI range is their main graphite range. This happens to be the 50+ weight category. Yeah.
And how does that relate to, we were talking earlier about flex, or is a weight is the flex? It's the same thing, or?
As you make a shaft heavier, it generally gets stronger.
Okay.
But how you distribute
is that
that
quite
weight?
A flexible one, that one, or?
It's stable at its weight. There's other shafts that are the same weight or even heavier that feel a bit softer.
Yeah.
It's quite a firmish feeling for its weight. Yeah. But how you distribute weight in a shaft, you can put more weight here, more graphite here, for instance, and it changes the balance of the club.
Yeah.
You make it more rigid here, and it makes it fly lower. Yeah.
Yep.
And also adds balance to the club. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a what you classify as a mid-profile type of shaft, but it's one that you strike incredibly well. If you look back at that strike pattern, you've got 6 shots there. And you keep on hitting the same point of the head all the time. Where the head one is, it gives you the ball speed. If you miss it 7 millimeters towards the toe, it gives you the ball speed as if you hit it out the middle, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I should try and get that little spot in the middle.
Well, look.
Yeah.
Let's see.
If I got that consistently in the middle,
you've got another more. You've got a bit more again.
That will give you a bit more loft,
another few yards more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really getting the sweet spot.
Yeah, you probably get it to, let's say, 90 mile an hour ball speed on that similar flight. Carry 120.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. But for me, shorter length than these. A little bit overzealous on the length of those rad speeds. We found a really, really good performing shaft where you, no matter what head I put on it, you kept on hitting it. It was a Strixon head, you hit it. It's the tightest head, you hit it. It was the tightest head that was the blueprint for that change, wasn't it? So, it was just a very, very nice setup. Yeah?
Yep.
All right. When it comes to the lie angles, when you talked about...
Yeah.
So you tend to capture a slightly flatter lie angle at that length. In other words, the shaft is a bit more that way at impact. Yeah. Which means that when you catch the ground a little bit, if you notice your ones you catch go left.
Yeah.
Because what's actually happening, if I grab an iron just to demonstrate, when you get the ball first, there is always an element of tilt that can send it left. But if you catch the ground while that toe is in the air, it's obviously going to, it's like, when you play out the rough at Walton Heath, or that's heather anyway, but you play a rough and you feel like it does. No, but if it feels like it does that, yeah.
Yeah,
they talk about the toe turning over, yeah. So if the line's too upright, obviously if you hit the ball first, it can still go left because you've got tilt. I'm going to demonstrate actually. This has got a magnet on it. It's a very, very good demonstration for the viewers. Oh, that's handy.
Not sticking.
There we are. Right, so that rod is perpendicular to the face. So if your head was too upright, in other words, the toe of that club is sticking in the air more, watch what happens.
Yeah.
Goes to the left.
Oh, yes.
If it's too flat for you, where the toe is down and the heel is up, it goes to the right. So when I was going back to that description about your wedges, so you've got a shorter wedge with a flatter lie, and having an inconsistency on loft and lies, that's why you want that consistency in that department as well.
So it just naturally...
So you want, ideally, is that level strike there, so it offers the correct loft and the correct direction. If you put a bad swing on it and it's an open face, closed face, that's you.
Yeah.
But you've got, in principle, you put a good swing on it, it goes where you want it to go.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so now what I wanted to point out is now our discussion of the wedges. And I feel this is where I thought you were very...
Bit of a mismatch.
Bit of a mismatch.
Yeah.
Yeah? One, because you've rightfully got that gap wedge, because the pitching wedge was so strong.
Yeah.
And the gap wedge was still strong, but it was a 47.5. It looks more like a standard pitching wedge, really, in loft terms. But then you've got this big jump to 54 loft, I think was your next loft, yeah? And then you're 56. So it's all weighted that end with something missing in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, the way I see it, as people, I notice you haven't ever got involved in lob wedges and stuff, have you?
I wouldn't know what a lob wedge is,
Well,
to be honest.
basically a sand wedge with more loft.
Okay.
Yeah?
No, I mean, I just sort of won that one, and that one was made for me, and the others came along. So, no.
Yeah. So, all I would say is whatever we do, it's the graduation of length and balance, everything we've done. Yeah? So you've got consistency from club to club. When you're going from the irons to the wedges, you've got that consistency. And you want that consistency aloft. So when you actually consider the specifications of those Mizunos, I'm just going to bring up the website here. There you go. So there is the lofts, standard lofts for that model that's come out on top. Yeah?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I rightfully said, your 6-iron at 23.5 of loft. We've got 28 here now, but we've got the ball speed, every bit as good, if not more.
Yeah.
And then the capacity for launch and spin. When you look at the lofts, I see that as being your longest iron anyway, but you're going to see much more height with the new 5-iron. That's the great news. The 5-iron is going to get easier to hit because of this change in spec. Our pitching wedge now, instead of what was 41, is now 45.
Yeah.
And then we've got a little bit more capable. We can sort of almost lose a club here for the sake of a couple of specialist wedges that are both better performing in spin terms because of the face tech here now. I don't necessarily recommend these, yeah? It's that more aim and shoot, game improvement head. I think we need the middle ground of a more specialist wedge head on the wedges, a couple of them. I think that you're very used to 56 being your maximum loft.
Yeah.
But we need to freshen it all up a little bit and make it more consistent. So the way I see it, it's similar lofts to what's on the screen there on the gap wedge and sand wedge. I would have basically 50 and 56 this time round. Yeah. We've got the same amount of clubs as we had before, but we've done a better job of getting the lofts in a better place. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now the head that intrigues me is, for me, a head that complements what we've done with the APX, that gives you face performance, but rather than, you know, what like your little rusty one there, more that middle ground of face tech, like all the good wedges, that looks like a traditional wedge, albeit a hair bigger, but with a little bit of forgiveness on the head as well. All right, so I'm going to show you that head.
Forgiveness is good.
Well, yeah, but wedges are easier to hit because the shaft short is easier to hit. But I still think there's a middle ground of a specialist wedge head, but not, let's say, a Vokey or any of the very small bladed wedges. Something that's that nice middle ground that you could hit a full shot with, but also just as easily find a good spin number.
I mean, I use that 56 for sand, chip and putt, and approach shots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my length, you know, when I said about matching up the length side of it, if your equivalent sand iron, just quick bit of maths in my head, would be about 34.5 based on my new length, and this is actually for 34.5. So, so this is the correct length for you. Yeah. You would say, in terms of wear. There's a lot of wear on that.
Should have cleaned those before I came.
Yeah, but you can see the grooves themselves.
Yeah.
If you go to the top, see the top where the ball hasn't been hit, and feel the groove.
Yeah.
Hear the difference in noise?
Yeah.
That's because all the grooves around the lower part of the
hit
head, you've rolled them over, and therefore you lose that friction with the ball, the way it interacts, creates spin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the amount of wear there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in principle, in terms of the weight of that shaft, in terms of the length of it, in terms of the loft of it, that ticks all the boxes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to give you the up-to-date what's known as CBX4. It's a Cleveland.
Okay.
It's got a cavity. It feels beautifully soft. It dampens vibration as well. It's got a little elastomer strip pocket in it that dampens the vibration. I think it's a club I want you to try.
Okay.
I'm going to set it up with a similar shaft weight. I haven't got the TGI to put in a wedge, but I've got the same weight on the display for you to try. All
Okay.
right? So we're going to grab a similar weight of graphite shaft to go in the wedge.
Okay.
I've got that CBX4 wedge head. I've got a sand wedge loft here. Yeah. And what I'm going to do in a similar fashion, I'm going to tape it up what I see as more of an optimum length. Yeah?
Okay.
35, 34. So, yeah. So where that tape is represents your optimum playing length.
Okay.
Yeah? And off the forward mat here now, I'm going to actually move the TrackMan, I'm going to re-gauge it. I'm going to move the TrackMan forward so that I can pick up spin numbers and carry numbers, because it's a bit of a stretch to that. There you go. Okay. Have a few practice swings from the forward mat.
Oh, what from? Okay. So hit full swings, yeah?
I think you can mix it up. We'll start off with the fuller shot.
Okay.
And then we'll play some shorter shots, and then I'm going to do what I call a bounce check. So we're going to get a live ball, a hard surface, to see how the sole is impacting the ground, just to make sure that it's in a good position for us. The other part of the exercise here is where the number is with these lofts. So you'll get a good idea that on a fuller shot with this, you'll have an idea of where our numbers would be. Yeah?
Yep.
What do you make of the feel of that head?
Yeah, I'm not sure I particularly like the look of it, but it feels all right.
No, you don't like the look of it?
Well, it looks very big.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but no,
right.
no, it's
I'll take
fine.
that on board. I'll take that on board. Because I've got something else up my sleeve.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's okay.
No,
yeah.
but I've got another, let's just say that's something that's a little bit more on the forgiving side, that's maybe a slightly more compact look. So we're going to use, I always take on board what someone says about a look of a wedge, because wedges are like putters, they're very subjective. Yeah. It's like you going in and buying some clothes in a clothes shop. You're never going to be forced to wear what you don't like the look of, do you? No. So what we've got here is another one. You see that strip here? Yeah. That strip means it's got like a little recess, a cavity. Mm-hmm. This is a dampener that's got elastomer in it. It's a soft feeling head, but what Ping always do on their wedges, they don't give you that straight flat back. They want to give you a bit of forgiveness, because you're going to hit it on the full, and you need that miss to be a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's quite a difference in sole design. You
Yeah.
can see the chunkier sole here. Yeah, I haven't got a 56 loft. I've given you the nearest equivalent, but it's a good enough, close enough loft in order to test it. Yeah.
So what did these shots do anyway on that last one?
So, as a set of shots, what you've got is around about 6-7 on the spin, yeah, and a carry just short of 60 yards, yeah. But the obvious bit that I picked up on is when you said, I'm not sure if I like the look of that. Well, I've got to take that on board.
Yeah.
You know, I want to give you a wedge that you like the look of. Yeah? Wedges are probably, of anything in the bag, along with maybe a putter and a driver head.
It's got to be something
because you're going to play that shot on a regular basis. Yeah?
Now, why is that all down there?
Right, it's a little bit of a trackmanism there.
Ah, okay.
The strike location, what we've always noticed with TrackMan, it always makes the wedge strike location on the wedges look a little bit low.
Okay.
When you see a perfect strike, it always looks like it's the first groove.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay.
So, just tell me what you make of that look, first of all.
Yeah. Yes, that looks good.
Do you want to hit some shots with it?
Yeah.
We compare it?
Yep. Yep.
So the story behind the ping, I've already said they build a bit of forgiveness into that. Yeah?
Okay.
What they also do is a little bit like what Cleveland do now. There's a special finish on that called Hydropel 2. What it does is it wicks away the moisture, so it runs away.
Oh.
So when you're playing out of wet rough and you still want that spin, it holds up the spin number out of damp or wetter conditions, particularly out of rough around the green.
Oops. Doesn't feel as nice as the other one, actually.
No, the other one's a softer feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very soft feeling, that other wedge. That's a good swing on that. How would you...
Doesn't feel as nice.
What, the head?
Yeah.
The strike don't feel as nice?
No.
So, right, okay. So you like the feel of the Cleveland?
Yes. Yeah.
But not quite the look.
Well, I think I'd get used to it, to be honest.
Well, let's just see, right? The one thing I'll say about the Cleveland, the standard range, the RTX range.
That's gone further, hasn't it, that one?
But that's 2 degrees stronger.
Yeah.
That's 2 degrees stronger, that head. But their RTX 6, which is their more mainstream specialist head, is a blade design, but they're very clever Cleveland, because what they do, if you imagine the hosel of the wedge, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
That pulls the centre of gravity closer to the heel of the club.
Yeah.
They've got a low density core on their wedges that allows them to position the centre of gravity very centrally on the wedge. What that ultimately means, it's more forgiving across the face. Because if you get the wedge out of the toe, you get the big drop off on ball speed. Yeah?
Yeah.
Even though it might be a blade design, the centre of gravity on their standard design is in such a place that it makes it more forgiving, if that makes sense. I'm going to give you that head.
All right.
Just to see, because
see what I think.
You weren't quite sure about the shape. Let's test the RTX 6 and see if, one, you like the feel of it, if the performance is still there. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's all the story of the same milling on the face, and they do that low density core hosel on the whole range to position that centre of gravity very centrally. So you said you liked the feel of the first one.
Yep.
But wasn't quite sure about the shape.
Yes.
Now, obviously, this is not quite as forgiving as that head, but because of that low density core that I talked about, keeping that centre of gravity very centrally, in comparison with a lot of blade wedges out there with the centre of gravity closer to the heel, this is probably a more forgiving design. Yeah, if that makes sense. have a go at that.
Okay. Right.
56 loft again. That was a nice shot there, Anne.
Thank you.
Very nice. Nice spin rate on that one. Very good. Now, I think you're more than a good enough golfer to use that design.
That felt nice.
At the wedge end of proceedings, yeah? Because if you look at where your strikes are, you can see your strike points are very, very good in the like sort of third groove up, very much central. So it's not if you were knocking it out here or whatever. I'd have to say, look, we've got to get a cavity wedge into your hand. But your strike point is very, very good. I think what you also see from the numbers there, if you look at the, I did say it's a bit of a trackmanism here. That's actually a good strike location. You can see where it is there. It's a very good place. You've got, you've hit those 3 shots, there's only about a range of about 3.5 yards from the longest to the shortest on those 3 carries. It's a very tight number. There's a little bit more spin with that head as well. It's just ultimately that's your 56 loft. It amounts to a 61.4 carry from that loft.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And obviously then that 50 loft would be another number again, probably around about 75-yard mark.
Okay.
Yeah? I think we'll do that quickly now. We'll put, I'll see if I've got a 50 head on the display and see what
50
number.
50-degree head, yeah.
50-degree head. Yeah? Yeah, so what we've got here, I didn't have the 50 head, our nearest test is 52, but the fact it's 4 degrees stronger, and you probably gain about 2 yards for every degree. So imagine adding about 4 yards onto this number.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep. That'll go.
Ah, that's a lovely move. Lovely move.
Try a couple.
You're more than good enough golfer to use these heads. And I think you're enjoying the shape and feel of that. Yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
So what you've got is essentially in average carry there, 67.
Yeah.
But I did say that's obviously I'm recommending
52,
the 50. Yeah.
50,
So you're probably more 71, 72 carry off the new 50 head.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That felt nice.
But now to wrap all this up, a couple of things still to discuss. We're going to do a bounce check. I'm going to use that 56 loft again to do a bit of chipping off a lie board.
Okay, just explain bounce to me.
So,
my husband mentions that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, is this when it's jumping up and down on top of the bed or something?
No.
No. Anyway, so no. When they talk about grinds or bounce, they always have a number. Most of them have a number written on them.
Yeah.
And this is what they call what Cleveland call low plus. It's quite quirky because it's not a mid bounce, it's not a low bounce. It sits in between. That's why I call it low plus. But this sole design can be a full sole with no working off the back there. You can see this is what I call a C grind. You see the C to it,
Yes.
with the relief off the back that allows you to sort of, you can hit a toe up, toe, you know, that little sort of cutty, checky little thing, or you can play it low hand, open face, that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you use this out of a bunker?
Yeah.
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 Because I used my 56.
But then I'm going to touch on that in a second with the
Okay.
questions I'm about to ask you. But initially what I want to do is get a feel for your chipping, see how you're striking this, and depending on what I see, I either think it's good or I go one way or another in terms of less bounce, more bounce. Yeah?
Okay.
And that's what we're going to do. So just bear with me, I'm just going to get the lie board. Yeah? The gap wedge is almost set in stone in terms of being a mid bounce, but when we come to choosing our sand iron, it's catering for the shots that you want. Out of sand, for instance,
Yeah.
but also how's it perform off a standard chip shot? Yeah? Do you play around with the face angle, for instance, when you chip?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, so
Yes.
therefore you might want a little bit less bounce on it with that sole, that relief off the back to work the face angle a bit. And it's all this general discussion that leads to our spec.
Okay.
Yeah? So we're going to hit a couple of chip shots here. Play your stock shot initially, just your square face, your standard stock chip here.
Okay.
And we'll
Just have a practice swing.
yeah.
Okay, and then do it on here.
That's it. Because don't fear the board though.
Don't fear the...
Don't fear the board. It's all about interacting with that. That's it. Something a little bit shorter in the arm swing for me. There's
Okay.
I'd call that more of a half pitch than I would a chip shot, but
Okay.
so a little bit behind it. Where's your bad shot on your chipping? A little bit of a drop kick? You
It can be a bit inconsistent, really. Yes.
okay.
Probably goes too long. I find it doing the short ones quite difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Behind it, was it?
Yeah. Right, okay. Well, interestingly, it's an interesting, because a lot of people who get their contact a little bit more behind the ball often use more the back of the club as well.
Yeah.
Your strike points are quite forward,
Right.
which is an interesting combination in many respects. That means that although you're behind it at times, you actually hold the loft off at the same time. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting combination, that, because people either have got the early release and use it that way, or they're driving the handle a bit more that way, and then take the angle off of it, because the more that loft is that way, the less bounce that's got. Yeah. So it's an interesting one. What's your sand play like?
Inconsistent. I can get out of bunkers, but I don't have much
What's your
finesse and...
all right. So what's the bad one in the bunker? Describe that.
Well, stays in the bunker.
Yeah, but there's two ways. You either drop kick it,
Take
too
it too
far
heavy,
behind.
I think.
Yeah.
Take it too heavy.
Yeah. Based on that, and based on what you just described, and giving you a bit more forgiveness, both in sand and for this technique, I'm going to test the fuller sole. Right, so we're just going to switch to a slightly fuller sole, and then do the bounce check again off the lie board, just to see where the strike point is, and trying to give a good man for all seasons in terms of a head of good out of sand, good as a chipping club, and make it a little bit safer than what I saw there. Let's see if I can find the head. Right, one of my colleagues has got the head. Actually, the mid bounce. That's it. So we're going to use the mid bounce one. Yeah, it's in a different finish. It's a black head, but it's got a little bit more bounce on it.
Right.
Still got a little bit of relief on the back like that, but it's just a little bit safer. Yeah.
Right.
For all round sand and chipping. So we do exactly the same thing. A couple of chips.
Short chips.
Yep. Yep. Just the same shot you were playing a second ago.
Ooh, that a bit heavy, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to try and help you in that in a sec. Let's have a look. See, can you see how central that strike point is? So I don't know if the camera can actually see the strike point there, but it's a very safe position where we're using the general part of the sole. What that ultimately means is when you're chipping, you get more of a sliding effect.
Yeah.
Yeah? As opposed to anything that's too forward, digs
in.
Anything that's like where there's a lot of bounce, particularly on firm fairway, say at Wont Heath in the summer,
Yeah.
you get that tighter lie, you get that kicking effect. That's a really good mid-ground in catering, having enough bounce for the sand, but also giving you a good bounce angle and
For the
sole design
chips.
for the chips as well.
Okay.
So it's a mid-bounce that we need for the sand line as well.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep. Yep.
And that ties it up nicely. Comes in...
Quite like the colour of that, actually.
What, the black?
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
you got the silver finish,
Yeah.
or satin silver finish. Then you got the black finish, and it's
It's
very
just a cosmetic
and
thing.
it is. It's subjective. If someone wants a very non-glare wedge head, because with the extra loft, you can reflect the sun a bit. The black head just doles down that effect.
How long does a wedge last? I mean, you said on mine that the grooves have gone. I mean, I know.
How long's a piece of string? If someone's playing 3 times a week, wedges really only last a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, but how much? A lot of it falls down to the nature of the sand as well.
Yeah.
You get the very rough, grainy stuff. You get stony ones, and yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a pro would change his wedge heads an awful lot. Yeah. But they're earning a living doing so.
That's right, it's a job.
Yeah. But that's where you monitor wedges. You know, a lot of our clients will come in maybe every couple of years and want to recap. You know, and part of that discussion might be how's the wedges performing, where's the spin rates on them, and
Can you just put a new head on a club, I suppose? Or?
we can.
Yeah.
Most
normally.
people return you away and just ask
Yeah.
you buy a new club or
Yes.
but yeah, if we've got a specialised shaft in it that's been an investment in the shaft and we think great, and just swap a head over and just a head cost and whack it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there lies our specification. Do you like the black head?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why don't we run with that?
Yeah.
You certainly are more than good enough to use those heads.
Okay.
And it was a better look than the bigger one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
So RTX6 in the black, 50 mid, 56 mid. That shaft isn't the same shaft as the irons,
No.
but I'd rather have that as a spec. It's just a hair heavier, and also because the wedge heads are a little bit heavier, I think it gets us the opportunity in the workshop to build a tighter set of swing weights. You know?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and you enjoyed the feeling of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
And that was basically what's known as the IS6 now. Yeah, it's an Acra shaft. But that would be a nice setup there. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's have a look. Just to tie that up, we're going to have a look at the grip,
Yep.
size and type,
Okay.
and then we've then got a specification for the irons and wedges.
Okay.
All right. We're going to go to the display.
Okay. The grip display, is it? Oh, goodness me.
Yeah. Pop your glove off. What size are you?
Small.
Ladies small? Or,
Yeah.
Or, so you asked?
Ladies small,
Yeah.
Well, glove size, yes, ladies small.
Right, okay.
So pretty small.
I'm not being sexist or anything, just that ladies tend to gravitate to a softer feel.
Yeah.
Yeah? That's a slightly smaller size as well. Tell me what you make of the feel of that.
Why did you say take my glove off?
I like to see the fingertips. When I look at where your hand is, take that hand off, I want to see your fingertips.
Ah.
When people got their glove on, I can't see the tips of their fingers.
Okay.
I can see your tips of your fingers there now, you see. So when I'm looking at sizing, the glove can hide where your fingertips are.
Right.
So there's the answer to that. Let's take his hand away again. See, what you're looking for here is these two touching. If you went all the way down the grip, let's just say you went all the way down there, you see now there's digging.
Yeah.
That's when the glove is too
small.
small. And if, like, the opposite of that, if we had a thick grip, you're struggling to reach over.
Yeah.
So you want that comfort of getting the hands to reach on those two middle fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
But that's catering, that's an undersized grip to cater for a smaller hand. Yeah?
Yeah.
The reason I gave you that one as well is because it's got a lovely soft texture to it. And it's also very hard wearing, very durable. It's a Golf Pride grip called the CP2 Pro. This is in a wrap style, you know, the old-fashioned
Yes, I know
leather,
the old-fashioned, but it's not.
but it's not.
No, it looks like it.
And then
but
you
it's-
can, that's exactly the same material. This is the standard size, but you can get it in the undersize as well. That's more plain style, but with the same texture of compound.
Yeah. It's just a personal.
It's very
Personal
subjective
feel,
here now.
yeah.
I'll recommend the sizing of it.
Yeah.
And any question that gets asked about a grip, I can answer.
Yeah,
But I'm never going to be the person to say you must have that grip because it
Does
is
feel
subjective.
Nicer. Yeah. What do most ladies do? This one?
Well,
do you
like I
think,
said,
or-
a lot of the ladies tend to gravitate to a softer grip. Yeah. The reason why over the years a lot of the ladies have gone for wind grips like these, they feel soft. That's a bigger one, by the way.
Yeah.
It'd be a bit smaller than that, but they're not very hard wearing. The reason I picked that one is because I know the durability aspect is with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
That one.
With the wrap style.
Yes, I think. Yeah, it's nice.
Nice texture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tacky, soft,
Yes.
right size. Yeah.
Yeah.
We only need one layer of tape with that, but that's the CP2 in an undersize. CP2 wrap with with one layer, and that would be a nice feeling for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yes.
need something smaller than the average. Let's say.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
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 And that sort of wraps it up. So, in short, I
Yeah.
think we've made some nice changes there.
Yeah.
How did you see it? How did you see that fit in and the process and what you gained by it?
I think what I found really interesting was to try different shafts and different heads, and to actually then see on the TrackMan how far they went. And I didn't realise I wasn't getting that much loft, for example. There's a lot of stats there. I mean, I found it quite. But I think, you know, for an average golfer in Surrey, well, obviously in Surrey, it would be. It's fascinating to see and to see how you could improve without actually doing too much with the right implements.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. I mean, as a fitter, what I feel I've gained from it, and it was a great experience, you know, it was a great fitting, but it's where distance sells. When you go in and they look at a total distance, and there's no other further discussion. Yeah. It's the finer points of the flight profile and the height gain with a gain in carry, but the smaller differential. So when the conditions are firmer, for instance, in the summer, more stopping power, more ability to score, and it's a scoring game. Yeah. That's how I sum it up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So just to finalize, I hope you enjoy this video at Precision Golf. If you like it, then may I ask you to subscribe to us. We've got plenty of information out on our website, on our YouTube channel, and like I said, hope to see you at Precision Golf soon.
And perhaps I could just add that I would say to the Surrey lady golfers or Surrey women golfers that are out there that it's not a frightening experience, and Mark made it very easy.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thanks.